Hi everybody, in today's video we're going to talk about what to do if you get food poisoning. Oh my god, this sucks so bad. If you are suffering from food poisoning and looking for solutions right now, stay tuned and this video should help you. Okay, per our usual on this channel, I think a little bit of understanding goes a long way, and then we can talk about where the therapeutic interventions are and where the windows of opportunity are. So first and foremost, I drew you a human digestive tract, more or less, not super to scale, but we all know that food comes in through your mouth, goes down your esophagus, hangs out in your stomach for a bit, and then winds up in the small and then large intestine. Now, the real jamboree will oftentimes happen when the food gets to, where's my other marker? When the food either gets to your stomach or more typically the small intestine is where I think about a lot of this. And I drew the particle of problematic food, and then we zoomed in, and here's what we're looking at when we look at this part of the small intestine. We've got food particles and bacteria and yeast and parasites and whatever creepy crawlers you're carrying in your digestive tract, they're hanging out in this middle space for the most part called the lumen. Then we have a nice thick layer of mucus that's going to help protect your epithelium and your immune system from all of that debris and antigenic food and bacteria and whatever else you have in your digestive tube. The brown cells are the cells of your epithelial barrier or your gut lining. And this is what we talk about when we think about healing leaky gut syndrome. We're really talking about these cells and what we can do to heal those. And then finally beneath that is the blue cells, which are your immune system cells. And this is huge because this is where about 70 or 80% of your immune system hangs out on a day-to-day basis. And this is exactly what they were made for. This is what they're waiting for. They are waiting for some weird bug. Let's see, I'll give it a couple of flagella. It's waiting for this big cojones and its toxins to come down its way. And this is what it's primed and ready to handle. So what does your immune system do? It launches an attack. So you can imagine that some of these immune cells, for example, have little feet that stick up either through the mucus layer entirely or into the mucus layer, and they're constantly sensing the world around them. And they're sensing, okay, that's a food particle, that's a good bacteria, oh, that's another food particle, oh, whoa, that's a bad bacteria. And as it's sensing the world, it's either going to sense the toxin or the bacteria itself, and it's going to say, Mayday, red alert, and this cell, this dendritic cell, is going to tell its buddies, hey man, launch the attack. And then they will reply by secreting inflammatory substances called cytokines. And these are really signaling molecules that help the immune system communicate in and amongst each other so that the team can be coordinated and it can help launch an attack. And we're going to leave out the rest of the complicated immune component of this. But just so you know, the immune system senses the threat, it will respond with inflammation, and then now you're left with this bacterial toxin that's doing enough damage as it is, plus the inflammation that your own body is cooking up for you. Now, first and foremost, the best intervention that we could do is to try to get rid of the bacteria or get rid of the toxin itself. And your body is smart enough to figure out how to do that. Vomiting and diarrhea. There's only two exits out, and that is what the body will initiate right away when it gets this signal. But aside from that, is there anything that we could do to either neutralize the toxin or get rid of the bacteria or both? And there is. My biggest recommendation that I tell all of my patients with IBS and SIBO, especially if they have post-infectious IBS, is that you need to have binders on hand at all times. I will tell you, I have a bottle of charcoal in my house at all times because there's nothing worse than getting food poisoning and not having it with you. I even tell my patients with post-infectious IBS that, hey, this is going to be something that's relevant for you for the rest of your life. If you go for an overnight somewhere or you go on a work trip or you're not home for a day or an evening, take the charcoal with you. And that way, if you get food poisoning at your hotel or if you get food poisoning on the cruise, you have something to take right then and there, and you're not going to be kicking yourself that you left the goods at home. So you could do something like charcoal. I think charcoal is better than most of the other binders. There are really fancy, expensive binders on the market. So like you could get plain old activated charcoal for maybe 10 bucks tops. Or you could get like the ultra binders and the really fancy ones that you might have seen at your functional medicine doctor's office or your naturopath's office. And they'll usually have some combination of charcoal and clay and maybe some other stuff too. I honestly don't know if they work any better. I think that activated charcoal works just as well and it's a fraction of the price. So charcoal really takes the cake. The other one, and keep in mind, this is an over-the-counter medication, so discuss it with your doctor if you think that there's any relevance for you in your medical history, but kaopectate is another binder. And you could get that, I'm pretty sure it's a K, not a C. You could get kaopectate at practically any CVS, Walgreens, or Rite Aid. Any pharmacy should have kaopectate. It's an over-the-counter, and it's basically just bismuth. It's the same stuff in Pepto-Bismol, but Pepto-Bismol has, I believe it's Tylenol in it as a painkiller, and you don't need that component. Just get plain old kaopectate, and you get the bismuth, which is a wonderful binder. Or you could get bismuth as a standalone thing in a supplement, but kaopectate is very widely available, and it should work in conjunction with the charcoal in the same way. You're trying to bind up this bacterial toxin and inactivate it so that it no longer can do the damage and you can flush it out of your system and poop it out. So binders are your #1 line of defense. Now this won't be a surprise to anybody here on this channel, but my other favorite for this is ginger, yet again, because ginger is not only going to work on this front, it's going to help calm that immune response and tell the immune system, hey guys, whoa, you don't have to go full on wackadoo. You can just chill and like have a moderate inflammatory response and not nuke the whole body. So ginger is a lovely anti-inflammatory, but of relevance, particularly if you have SIBO or post-infectious IBS, it also is a prokinetic. So as you're trying to keep your motility going and keep the food, the problematic food particle, moving through your system so that it can get to the exit quicker, a motility agent like ginger can help just make sure that your nerves and your muscles and your intestines are working to the best of their ability, and you're going to sweep that food out of your system in an efficient manner. And as an added bonus, it's also an antispasmodic, so all of that cramping and muscle tension from the smooth muscles in your intestines, it will help comfort that and alleviate that as well. Finally, it's worth noting 2 other things. A is that don't underestimate the power of your own hands and your own touch to help alleviate some of the symptoms. When you get an opportunity, do a little bit of a belly massage. You don't have to go really aggressive or really hard. It's not no pain, no gain. But something like that Mayan abdominal massage that I've linked below, or something else that's really gentle. Maybe do some essential oils topically like I talked about in the glutination video. But something topically to de-inflame the intestines and help just move things physically, gently through your system can go a long, long way. And then finally, something I talked about in the gluten video that I'll mention here is that this is a situation for which digestive enzymes really won't be of any help. And the same thing goes for betaine HCl or any sort of digestive aid you can think of. Supporting your digestive juices and supporting your digestion in general is not going to help this, because it's not that you just have a lack of juices, although we could make the argument for low stomach acid, but that's another topic. But once the bacteria and the toxin are already in your system, having a good acid barrier at the stomach isn't going to help you anymore. Once the bacteria is in your system, you really just have to deal with that toxin and deal with that bacteria in real time, and then try to get it out of your system and de-inflame your system as quickly as humanly possible. So digestive enzymes are great if you get exposed to gluten or something that you have a food allergy or a food sensitivity to, but not necessarily if you have a reaction like this, where it really is a bacteria and a toxin and your immune system is wigging out trying to protect you from this bad bacteria. And then last but not least, this section of the video really goes out to people with SIBO and post-infectious IBS. And the reason is that this is all well and good. You could bind up the toxin, you could do the ginger, you could do the anti-inflammatories and try to calm down the response. But once you get over the food poisoning itself, after the couple of days or however long it takes you to recover, people with SIBO or people with post-infectious IBS specifically have to deal with one more additional thing. See, normally the immune system will sense these bacteria and the toxin, and it will see the bacteria and it'll go, ooh, that's a bad guy. It'll see the toxin and go, ooh, that's a bad guy too. And then for some people with that post-infectious IBS model of SIBO, it will see something else. There's a third thing that the immune system sees, and it starts attacking that thing. And that thing is a part of your own body. It's a part of the nerves of your intestines called vinculin. And if you have this anti-vinculin autoimmunity, then you're left with an autoimmune flare, and that could exacerbate or reoccur SIBO for you. So there's the crap that you have to deal with, pun intended, with food poisoning in and of itself, as if that's not bad enough. But if you have post-infectious IBS, this could flare up your SIBO and you could go down the SIBO path again. So then doing things to be mindful of Stress. Stress is huge. So try to do some deep belly breathing, some meditation, some gut-brain axis work, maybe some vagus nerve stimulation with gargling and yoga. Really try to do prokinetics if you're not on one already. I mean, I recommend being on one if you have post-infectious IBS, just broadly anyway. But if you're not on a prokinetic, doing some prokinetic work, like you could do a couple cups of ginger tea a day, or you could do a blend like motility activator or Prokine or any one of the number of products that I've talked about. And doing things to calm the autoimmunity. So telling these immune system cells, hey man, shush. It's okay, we don't need to go attacking our nerves. We don't have to go down squirrely SIBO land territory. And you could do that with anti-inflammatories like turmeric and resveratrol and green tea and boswellia, and the list goes on. I wouldn't think necessarily of fish oil as an acute strategy, but it's a good, just overall health encouraging thing that most people should be on, in my opinion. So fish oil might be a little bit of a longer term strategy, but certainly things like turmeric, resveratrol, green tea, boswellia, any sort of anti-inflammatory, perhaps a probiotic if you tolerate it and you found one that you do well with, things of that nature to help calm the immune response. Vitamins, vitamin D, vitamin A under supervision and with lab testing. But there's a lot of strategies you could do to help calm this immune response so that this does not snowball away from you after the bacteria and the toxin are long gone. And of course, if you just watched this whole video and you're feeling totally overwhelmed and like, oh my God, what do I do now? I don't know how to move forward. I've got great news. I've got 2 other ways that I can help you beyond just YouTube videos. So first and foremost, I do appointments over the phone and Skype with people who are not in the state of North Carolina. I don't know why I didn't start mentioning that until recent videos. But if you want to learn more about working with me on a one-on-one fashion, go ahead and click the link in the doobly-doo below. It should be infinityholistichealth.com/appointments. So check that out, poke around my website and see if working together might be a good fit for you. The other thing is, particularly if you have a food intolerance and if you're stuck on a diet like low FODMAP or SCD, or if you have to be low carb and you think it's because of your microbiome and your juices and your IBS, then you might want to check out my online course, FODMAP Freedom in 90 Days. Now, obviously, this is really geared towards people stuck on the low FODMAP diet and people with IBS, but really what this is going to entail is it's going to be an IBS and SIBO and microbiome crash course. We're going to talk about the things going on in your gut that make you intolerant to these foods that you want to eat again. So go ahead and check that out. The link is also in the doobly-doo below, and I would be honored to help you on your healing journey and help you reintroduce these yummy foods. Hey guys, if you like this video, be sure to subscribe, ring the bell, click the like button, and leave a comment down below with the videos that you would like to see me do next. Doing all of those really helps support the channel and support my efforts in making as many videos as possible for you guys. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next video.